What the fuck? We're just friends. We're going to meet this broad. She just came to fucking get me. You're pushing her over this? And he's like, well, I'll deal with you in fucking 2 days, motherfucker. And I'm like, fuck, now I'm going to get beat up by this fucking savage. So I walk back upstairs to the party. It's fucking 2 a.m. I'm like, what the fuck? And the party's still packed. So I'm like, I got to call my mother, right? So I run downstairs. There's a payphone next to this bar, Mareg's, which is right 50 feet from the party. I put my fucking quarter in there. I call my mom. She's fucking half asleep. She's like, where are you? I go, Mom, the bus stopped running. You know, I got here a little too fucking, I was high. I couldn't tell her that. I go, I'm a little tired, you know, whatever. She's like, listen, I don't care what time you get home. What time? Just give me a fucking time. And I'm like, 3 o'clock. And she goes, I'll see you at 3. Okay, so now the acid's still kicking, people's faces are melting, the whole fucking deal. And I look back, it's 4 in the fucking morning. Now I'm like, I tell my buddies who I was there, I go, guys, I gotta go home. This is 70th Street. We lived on 38th Street. One of the guys I was there with lived on 44th Street or something. I'm like, we're gonna have to walk home, guys. We're fucking tripping, we're drunk. We go back downstairs, the dude's still puking in a fucking bucket. And all of a sudden, one of the kids' brothers was like, I'm going downtown. I'll take you down there. So he gets in the fucking car, we go fucking down there, and he drops you off at my mother's house. But the fucking birds are chirping. It's like 5 o'clock, 4:45, maybe 5:30. I have no fucking idea. It's light out, and I'm like, wow, this is my first all-nighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, all right. We're on to something here. Oh, shit. And I fucking hit the key, and the fucking door opened. And she just unleashed on me. Just unleashed on me. Fuck yous, you fucking piece of shit. You didn't call. And I'm like, what the fuck? Ma, at 2, I woke you up. I didn't want to wake you back up. She's like, don't use that fucking excuse. You gave me your word you were going to call at 3 o'clock. And I'm like, holy shit, she's fucking serious. So I go, you know what, Ma? I'm not going to talk to you about this. It was a misunderstanding all around. I'm sorry. I'm going upstairs. And she's like, no, we're going to talk about this. And I just put my hand up, and she fucking smacked me in the face, dog. The hardest smack she ever fucking laid on me. It twisted my fucking head because my mom knew I was getting to that age that if I ever snapped on her, she had to shut it down. Like, my mother didn't come from the school a timeout or, there's a timeout. Oh, my God, it's time for therapy. My mom was like, you did what? You fucking high-handed me. I'll bust your fucking head. And I'm nipping this shit in the bud right now. This is after I had done the 18-day stretch in the hospital. Her fucking tension, she had already had it. She was in the hospital after that. She lost the bar. The Yankees weren't fucking, the Mets weren't winning. Her world was at the end of a fucking rope, which it was. I had no idea. So it was like that Saturday was like the 30th. It was like the 30th. Halloween was going to be like a Sunday or a Monday, like this year, After she smacked me, I go, I'm just going fucking upstairs. I don't need this shit. And I went upstairs and just locked the door. And, I was upset. I didn't understand what she was all upset about. But the next morning, I opened my eyes and she was standing right over me, serious as a motherfucker. And she's like, listen, get up. And she goes, I smelled the alcohol on your breath last night. She goes, you were drinking? And I said something to her, yeah. And she goes, I could tell you hungover. Now you know how I feel in the morning. Like she was like a little sense of humor, But then she goes, listen, about last night, here it is, plain and simple. You told me you were going to call me at 3. You did not call me at 3. The reason why I was so mad was because one day you're going to have a wife and a daughter and a son and a bunch of other shit. And when it comes to women, you have to answer to them, no matter what the fuck you want to do. That's what being a man is. And I was like, what the fuck is she talking about? I got a dick. I got hair on my dick. I am a fucking man, but that's not what she was saying. She wasn't talking about. She was already prepping me. She was outside the box. She's like, here's the deal. You got to call your wife and you got to call your mom. And you got to, whatever time you tell them you're going to call. If you're not going to be home, call me again at 3 and we're cool. I wouldn't have said a fucking word to you. If you'd have called at 3 and told me you come home at 5, not a fucking peep. And I'll never, ever, ever guys, it was the weirdest thing. You know when you see something like you're walking down the street and you see a guy run into a car and you go, that's weird, but I'm listening to fucking Nirvana on the earphones. You know what I'm saying? I really don't give a fuck what's going on. And then you get home and, 2 days later, that was a robbery and somebody got shot or something. And you actually, you're not a witness. You didn't see the guy's face, but you saw his energy, you saw how he was running, and you saw how he got in the car. And you'll never forget that. Maybe you'll pick up the phone and go, was it a red Cadillac or whatever the fuck it is. But there's certain things that you see in your life that you'll never forget. Like, you just never forget. You go, that was fucking weird. Like, I don't know. I had a lot, like when Don Henley picked me up hitchhiking. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are the chances? What are the chances of fucking John Denver picking you up hitchhiking on 4th of July to go up Snowmass? You look at those things and you go, I'll never forget that the rest of my fucking life, But she just looked at me a certain way. She goes, listen, she goes, plain and simple, I just want you to grow up and be a man. And I'll never forget that she had tears in her eyes. And she turned around, she went downstairs, she goes, breakfast is ready, whatever the fuck. But I'll never forget how upset she was that night and how upset she was when she told me that she wanted me to grow up to be a man. And it was a simple statement, like, I just want you to grow up to be a man. Not to have a fancy car, not to have any of this shit, but just to understand what goes with the territory of slinging dick and doing whatever the fuck you want. You still got to answer, and it didn't make sense to me until I found her on the floor a week later. Because that was probably the 31st of October, and she died on November 7th, but it was after midnight, so they claimed it the 8th. So when I found her on the floor, and I called the ambulance, that's when that speech rang in my head, and it rings in my head constantly, and it's not like some guy yelling in your head, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is something that when something happens, whether, you do, I still remember, getting to an airport at 5 a.m. and going, what the fuck? What the fuck? What am I doing with my life? It's 4:45 in the fucking morning, and I'm at a fucking airport to go to some town, and I would go, but I made a commitment. There's been plenty of times when I'm at an airport and I'm like, I'm not standing on that fucking line, especially when you fly Southwest. And in LA, it would be outside the fucking door. And I'm like, I'm not fucking flying on that fucking plane, But that's all what it comes with the territory of being a man, is saying that you're going to do something and stick them to the fucking sentence, and I'll never forget that. And now we're going into that area, And it's 43 years, and I've spoken to my therapist about it. Speaking about therapist, and now for a word for my motherfucking sponsor. All right, you bad motherfuckers. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sometimes you can fixate on a problem so long that you don't take the time to find the right solution. But when you learn how to find your own solutions, there's no better feeling. Sometimes a therapist can help you become a better problem solver, making it easier to accomplish your goals like they did for me. I love BetterHelp. I love Dana, and I love their therapy and how they worked on me. For you guys that don't know, BetterHelp is an online therapy that offers video, phone, and chat therapy sessions. You can choose and not to see anyone on camera, but it's more affordable than in-person therapy, okay? Prices are high out there. You won't get a therapist, at least with BetterHelp. You'll have a therapist in 48 hours. When you want to be a better problem solver and you want your life to run smooth, therapy can get you there. Visit BetterHelp.com/Diaz. Again, BetterHelp.com/Diaz, and I'm going to get you 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/Diaz. And now back to the joint, Jack. All right, now since we're back from BetterHelp, in fact, tomorrow's my last therapy session with BetterHelp. After a year and a half, we've worked it, we've talked it over, and that's it. We're to the end, and it was great, and I really enjoyed it. And if I could recommend Dana to anybody, I would do it all over again. It's been a fucking great journey with those people. I never had a therapist before. Granted, it wasn't a lady on a couch with a fucking watch, and you got to go in there, and nobody's doing that no more because of COVID. You got to pay fucking $400 an hour. And BetterHelp did do the fucking job for me. You look at the joint 2 years ago and look at the joint now. Beside the fucking Band-Aid, I'm doing a lot goddamn better. You know what I'm saying? I had a Band-Aid in my soul before. Now I got a Band-Aid in my fucking face. So, but yeah, that was a great time for me. Not a great time for me, but it was a great learning experience. And it's so weird how by talking to a therapist, I spoke about this every once in a while. My mother and